Welcome to an episode of You Haven't Read What? I'm Krysta.
And I'm Christina. Join us to explore unique genres, childhood favorites, and literary classics as we dive into each other's favorite reads.
Where one of us is very familiar with the book, the other is reading for the very first time. Let's go! Welcome to what is kind of a special edition of You Haven't Read What?
Yes.
In which case we're going to talk about a movie. About a book.
Well, we're talking about the first Harry Potter movie because we just finished the first book.
We just finished first book. And when we say we just watched first movie, like, I think the credits are still rolling behind me.
Technically they are, yes. Yep.
And as we'll hear some special voices, I'm Krysta.
I'm Christina.
I'm Brittany.
But we also have Cassie. Yay! We have the four of us ready to have some fun with this.
Yeah.
So kind of as a real quick, obviously, you've been listening to Christina and I for several weeks now. And I mentioned that we met through mutual friends. Well, Brittany is one of those mutual friends.
Yes.
That introduced us. And Brittany and I were college roommates a long time ago. It's too many years ago.
Let's not do that math.
And it's her husband and Christina's husband that have been best friends since
Middle
even longer
school.
than that.
That's cool. Yep.
So that's how we all got introduced.
Yep.
And then
Cassie's been my best friend since I lived in Minneapolis.
also long time ago.
It's been, let's see here. I'll be married 10 years this year, so it'll be 11 years basically that we've been friends. So, yeah.
Nice. And then she was nice enough to bring Cassie to meet all the rest of us.
Woohoo!
And have some fun.
And she came to hang and watch the movie with us. So,
Yes.
all the way from
We're
Wisconsin.
We're all big Harry Potter fans. We're all wearing Harry Potter shirts. I need to take a selfie before we leave at some point.
I have a
Say,
sweatshirt.
Christina doesn't understand mine yet, though, but this is the only one I have.
No. Yeah. Brittany's wearing a seventh book reference.
Well,
Yeah, it's seventh book. Yeah.
It's not
It just looks like
introduced until the
robots.
seventh.
It's the Deathly Hallows for anybody who's read all of them at this point. Christina will learn someday.
Yes.
And,
It's a story
Christina
from
and Cassie are
late in
both
the
wearing Hufflepuff.
Yep.
Sweatshirts.
Sweatshirts.
Badgers.
Yep.
And I've got my Harry Potter dragon from the store in New York City.
You mean Norbert, the dragon that I thought was a
It's
magical cow? I will
Not
never live
Norbert,
this
but I'm
down.
not going to tell you why.
Oh, okay.
Different dragon.
Yeah.
So since you're the only one who hasn't watched it before,
Yeah.
in general, what did you feel about the movie?
How'd you feel?
I mean, I have had a complicated relationship with this book to begin with because, it's just been my issues, with like the time management or what I feel like.
Is it more clear in the movie though?
Yes and no. Obviously, the names come out a little bit better because now I understand how to pronounce some of it.
I'm just going to point out here that she has an unfair advantage that she knows how to say Hermione's name in her head long before
Any of the rest of us?
I ever learned it.
Well, and I also can spell it, I guess, which is kind of nice. So,
Yeah,
Hermione.
Hermione is what
Yep.
I settled on in my head until
I think,
the book told me how.
at 10 years old, 9 years old reading this the first time, I just gave up and just started going with her. Herm.
yeah,
It doesn't matter.
right. Because the movie wasn't out at that point. So,
No.
yeah.
Fourth book.
Yeah.
Movie came out very shortly after the fourth book.
Was it? Oh, man.
But I really liked the movie. I did feel that it was missing quite a bit of things, though, and that kind of bothers me. But again, we've talked about this before, where not every book is a great movie. It doesn't always correlate all the time.
And sometimes they supplement each other well.
Yep. And sometimes the movies are better than the books.
Yep.
In this case, I think it's just kind of still missing enough that it bothers me. But other than that, I mean, it was good.
It moves a lot faster,
Yeah.
especially at the beginning, which I appreciate.
Yeah. And I think next time we need movie snacks. I was so hungry.
Meant to make popcorn.
It's all good.
And like just totally forgot.
I just
in all
was
the
like,
craziness.
I'm so hungry, but I'm not going to ask to pause the movie at this point. So we're just going to
I
keep
considered it, but I was like, I don't want to miss anything.
Next time I will plan ahead and we'll do chocolate frogs and Bernie Bott's beans and
Are the frog's going to move?
No,
I'm not that
in the
good.
movie.
I
Sorry.
wish. Chocolate frogs really should be like chocolate covered gummies.
They're big.
I know they're too big. They're too big. But I
And
mean,
they're
like instead of
solid
being
chocolate.
giant chocolate frogs, they should be smaller, little like chocolate covered gummies.
Yes,
so
they'd be
that
much
they
better.
like
Well, do you remember?
Well, then they
a
would
little
kind of
bit.
bounce.
they would kind of bounce.
Do you remember as a kid where they had those little plastic frogs that had the little
Yes.
like
Oh,
the little
flipper on
tab.
the, the little
Yeah.
tab?
And you would jump
I
them.
think they should do something like that with the chocolate frogs, and then that way you can kind of just like tap
All right,
it.
marketing idea. All right. Who's got the time for this?
Call Universal. To say,
Yeah, because they'd pick up the phone if we called.
right. However, like the tab would probably break after like a couple of flicks.
First or
but-
second.
Yeah.
You do it so that like they're little itty bitty, and you have the little jumper frogs, and then like underneath is a foil covered
There
chocolate
you
Right, there you
go.
go.
toad like thing, and
Yeah.
you pull it out, and you still have the chocolate frog to
Or
bounce
you,
those
could,
little pieces.
or you could just have the plastic underneath it and just like be able to,
yeah, and just
like
have
the
it-
actual
Just a little
plastic frog.
There you go.
Yeah, and then you can play with them.
I like this. We should do this.
And then the kids and the cats are way too much excited than them.
Right.
That'd
Exactly.
be dangerous. So I pulled up before we sat down. I pulled up some fun. I'm gonna call them fun facts or I don't know, movie facts, fast facts. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll come up with something better later. Fun fact in the movie, in case anyone else noticed, Harry Potter never cast a single spell
Oh.
in
that's
the entire
true.
first movie. Everyone's thinking now.
Not
Yeah.
intentionally. He does make the glass disappear.
Fair. He never
Yeah.
cast a spell.
He never did it on purpose.
Yeah.
But the glass, the glass.
Like you don't
was
even see him
accident.
trying Wingardium Leviosa.
Nope. He never
It's-
says the words. He never casts a spell.
No, except when he's trying out. Well, he doesn't cast any spells during the wand pickage either. However, he
just
blows
illuminates.
things up.
That's true. So technically, again, not intentionally.
Right.
He's not
Right.
casting anything. It's just happening
Right.
around him. I thought I was like, And then we talked about this at the very end as it wrapped up. We pointed it out that the very final scene was shot first. And if you pause it just the right moment, when Harry's looking down at the book of his parents, his eyes are green.
Right.
And then at the very last, when Hermione's getting on the train, she has buck teeth and she was wearing false teeth and he had contacts. They discovered very quickly Daniel Radcliffe was allergic to the contacts. So his eyes are super puffy then for the rest of the scene.
He's miserable.
Yeah, and Hermione couldn't talk. Like she was supposed to have more lines getting on the train, but she could not
Actually speak.
Yeah, it didn't sound normal. So they cut it all out. So that is the only scene. That's the whole reason people get all upset that Daniel Radcliffe doesn't have green eyes. And they're like, they tried. He's allergic. Do you want to recast or just deal with the fact that the kid has blue eyes? I'm like,
Right.
I'm going to deal with the fact he has blue eyes.
I mean, as a 14-year-old or 16-year-old or whatever I was when it came out, I was really, really annoyed because they make such a big deal about it in the books. And then in the movie, he had not
Bright
green
blue.
eyes.
Well,
And they never mention it either in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you look
have
like
your
your
mother's
mom.
eyes.
Yeah, right. You look like your dad, but you got your mother's eyes. And they just don't even talk about it.
Right.
And
Well,
you're
and I
like,
noticed too that they don't actually bring up the number 7, like
Not
at
as
all.
much.
Or just
Nowhere near as
very
much.
Yep. And they don't bring up the colors and stuff that were very prominent in the book, like the green, the purples, the maroons and
So I
stuff like
wonder
that.
Yeah.
if part of that, like when you're setting stage in a book, you give the descriptive things, the colors, and you really
Whole lot
describe
more.
things. If you're trying to get you're trying to get the readers to have a specific image in their head. And
Right.
with the movie, they just showed you Ron's maroon sweater.
Right.
Although he didn't complain about it, which
Well, and he also had a letter on it, whereas Fred and George are the only ones that are supposed to have the letters. And,
Yeah.
and then Harry's got an H
Big
on
H.
his and stuff like that. So it's, there are definitely times where they get to make those like choices is when they're like doing the movie or like even just.
And there's also stuff that like we're told in the book you
Right.
read there are 7 players on the Quidditch team. It's like
Right.
they showed you 7 players. They never said the number 7.
Right.
But there were 2 sets of 7 there.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to actually like stop and count them and stuff like that to make it actually.
When Wood's
more
explaining
known.
it.
Yeah, I'm trying to go through Wood explaining it. Like, did he not mention that?
No.
He never said that there are 7. He names all of them,
He names them.
which is again kind of a difference in the book because the book has to tell you there are 7
Right.
players so you can visualize it.
Right.
First movie, Oh, I thought this was kind of funny. Anytime in the background that they're sitting and doing homework and usually not using a quill, I noticed it specifically at one point that everyone then in the background, or even like, I think Lee Jordan's up front, may have been when Neville hops in to the Great Hall. He's using a pencil, and that's because they counted that as homework time. They're doing real homework.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a
Brilliant.
good use of time. Like, you don't have anything to say. You don't have to react to anything.
Right.
Here's math. Like, do it in a funny looking book.
Right.
I promise your tutor backstage will not care.
Right.
So I thought that was fun. They were using real homework. I had to look this one up. There are 16 live owls that were used in the movie.
Oh, cool.
And there were 4 different types. You have the little tawny owl, a snowy owl, an eagle owl, and then a barn owl, or the 4
Okay.
owls. And there's 3 or 4 of each, obviously. There's most of, oh no, Hedwig. I still had Hermione in my head. I'm like, that's not right.
Right.
More snowy owls.
Yeah, more
to
snowy
play.
owls than the other. But there's a great shot of the eagle owl that I saw, and I was like, I remember to put that on Facebook when that episode came out.
Pretty.
They are.
Their eyebrows are just like, yeah, like ridiculous looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, 16 live owls were
That's
used
cool.
in the making of the film. And at least 1 cat. I should look up how many cats they used. Dang it.
Oh,
You gotta have at least
with
2,
the-
but it's probably closer to
typically
4.
For McGonagall.
Yeah, McGonagall and Miss Norris.
Miss Norris.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. So they
Yeah.
had to have at least 2 of that cat. So maybe it's like dogs where they don't really necessarily change them out.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, they also have the toad.
TBD, I'll do that next time. Yeah, the toads you see once.
Twice.
Oh, twice.
Armchair.
You're right. Unless that's a CGI toad.
On the armchair.
It's probably not.
When Neville
very
goes to
end.
stop Harry, Hermione.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Neville,
yeah.
Toad sitting there.
You also see the frog jumping out the window, like the chocolate one. So
The chocolate one.
Well, that's not a live frog you're casting, so
I mean, but maybe there is an
it moved
actual.
like a frog.
Yeah, like a.
I was like, it was
brown.
impressive CG for the time.
That was something we were kind of commenting on the whole movie, was how well some of the CG stood up, and
How bad.
others are not as great.
Yeah.
There's some like Quidditch still impresses me, like the flying around and how they interact with each other.
Oh, yeah.
Still impressive to me. That I'm like, okay, that holds up fairly well. Sometimes some of the players in the background are like,
Right.
you're less so.
The flying Neville always bothered me.
Yeah.
That scene, I was just like,
No.
this was unnecessary. Like, yeah, okay, do a little bit with it because you need some drama, but
Right.
like
the dummy falling from the second part of the
Yeah.
that was a little creepy looking.
you're like, that
So,
doesn't.
The physics aren't quite right.
Yeah.
It didn't quite work.
the scientists here talking about the physics and the way that it dropped.
Yeah, we do that. The other thing I found interesting is, I can't remember if I pointed this out when we were reading the books or not. I don't think so. Hermione's the only one that when described does not have a does not have a race. Obviously she's a girl.
Right.
She does not have a race associated with her. She just has curly hair.
Right.
And it surprised Rowling. The author got final say on all of the casting choices. It surprised her when every single of their final options were a Caucasian, brown-haired, young girl.
Right.
And she was like, I kind of intentionally wrote this that she could have been black.
Right.
Like you could have gone either way on this.
Yeah.
And then there's a few adaptations of Harry Potter that are plays, and frequently Hermione is black.
Interesting. Okay.
And the authors never had any problems with that. She's like, I never said what she was. You all just assumed.
Right.
And now I'm going to assume because this is who you put in front of me. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned to me later about that, just the fact that she actually had to tell them, hey, I need a moment with this. Like,
Yeah.
I need to decide if
step
my image and my brain works or if what you're putting in front of me would be better or not. And so she actually was like, we're going to take a break. We're done for a little bit. I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Before they did Emma Watson.
Who's fantastic, by the way.
Oh, for sure. She's still a brown noser. Sorry. I can't get over it. Hermione is a brown noser.
Yeah, and written that way. Fully.
Yeah. No, Emma, I think the trio were all cast fantastically.
Yeah.
And out of them, Emma Watson's the youngest. She's about a year younger. Rupert and Daniel are about the same age.
Which is funny because she's supposed to be older in
the book. She's the oldest.
In the book.
Yeah. In the book, she's almost a year older than both of them.
Right.
And then not the trio, but the oldest kid is Malfoy. He's about 2 years older than
everybody.
Dan and Rupert.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Question. Real quick. The twins, Fred and George, are they actually twins in the movie?
Yes. So funny casting story here. They were in line. There was just like a open call to just British redhead twins or blondes that could dye their hair red. And so they showed up and they were in line with a million other British redhead twins, which would be weird.
Right.
And they realized they were the only set of twins that were not matching each other's clothes. So their parents held their place in line. They ran across the street to the store and bought new. They kind of were like, okay, what do we think wizard people would wear? Yeah. And they bought matching clothes and got back in line because they were nervous that would cost them the audition.
That is awesome.
No idea if that actually helped or hurt, but they've talked about that they ran across the street and bought a new wardrobe so they would match.
That's awesome. I mean, could you imagine walking down the street and all you see is all these like redheaded and blondish twins?
You didn't know what was going on. You
right.
walk by this casting call just like, what?
Right, exactly. I think it would be such a weird like thing to walk down the street and notice.
All right. So I'll start with Christina. I'll go around. Who is your favorite book to movie character? Who do you think best for this, and specifically this movie? I'm looking at you, Brittany and Cassie. Specifically this movie. Who was your favorite book to movie character?
Ginny. Just kidding.
She's so cute.
Yeah, she is adorable. I would have so I think Malfoy definitely had a lot of the same type of characteristics from the book to the movie. He was snobbish when he needed to be. He was, kind of I'm better than everybody when he needed to be and things like that. And I think Ron, I think those are my two that are specifically just, they're great where like they were cast very well.
Exactly what you had pictured reading the book and you expected to see.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, Draco's pretty good.
And Brittany?
I think for me, it was probably Dumbledore.
Oh.
Because I remember seeing him and just being like, yeah, that. And this is doing it, like trying to remember back to what I thought when I was a kid,
right.
like on first watch.
See, my only thing with Dumbledore, though, is he's not as sparkly. Because they describe him being more like
he's a little more flamboyant in the book.
Yeah.
Yes. And then McGonagall. Like, McGonagall is exactly what I want her to be, and Snape is exactly what I want him to be. Right. So, like, yeah, maybe actually McGonagall and Snape.
Okay.
Ron actually bugged me a little bit because, and it's just the one scene in the Devil Snare where he loses his head, and it's really. In the book, it's Hermione.
Yep.
Who asked for firewood.
Yeah, she's like, but there's no wood. And it makes perfect sense because she hasn't been a witch her whole life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't grown up in this world. She's not used to like just suddenly being able to create. Yes, she's jumped full, like headfirst into it and all about it. But like in a stressful situation, you go back to like what you know, and what she knows is the Muggle world. And he's like, wait. You're a witch.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Right.
And she's like, all right. And then she's like, yeah, you're right. I know the thing. But like for him, it's this world he grew up in.
Yep.
So it's natural for him to go, just use your wand. And it's natural for her to go, don't. So I got off topic, but like that one scene
ruins Ron for you forever. He's dead to you.
I mean, I can see what you mean.
With Ron for me.
No,
I'm like, they did a great job, honestly, with all of the casting. They did a really great job. And that is, I guess that's directing. That's not really the actor.
It's both.
It's
both.
But
you still got to get the personalities.
But really, like McGonagall and Snape are McGonagall and Snape in my head.
Right.
Yeah.
I could see that. I mean, Snape, you guys mentioned during the movie that Snape purposefully freaked the cast out.
R.I.P. Alan Rickman.
So that they would be afraid of him throughout the first movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool way of doing it because, like, while freaking 11-year-olds out is a little, like, much sometimes.
Little method.
But, like, you got to really think that, like, really getting into that character and persona and just keeping it around your cast and everything, it's got to be hard.
Especially with kids. They got to take you seriously. Otherwise, they're not going to react right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Cassie, do you have a favorite?
Mine would definitely not be any of the characters.
You didn't.
Oh.
It would be the set
Okay.
and the surroundings and how they portrayed it from the book into the movie.
Oh, I like that aspect.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And only because, honestly, it's been 15 plus years since I have read that book.
Yeah.
So I'm a movie girl.
Yeah.
But I do definitely remember
Nothing wrong with that.
The set.
imagery from the book and the imagery from the movie.
Yep.
Oh,
I mean, I
it's
could definitely
beautiful.
see it.
The castle's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I kind of wish that it was a real castle, though.
You can go
Want to
visit.
be somewhere I can go.
Right. Exactly.
Airbnb, let's go. We're going on vacation there.
Exactly.
Well, you could visit the church
Oh,
for the hall.
yeah,
right?
for sure. I
And
mean,
the college. I think there was a college involved. I'll look that up
church.
next time. Oh, that's slightly disappointing.
Fun.
Bummer.
especially when you've got witches going around in church.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, never mind. Even better.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was going to make a joke, but that I would say my favorite cast is Fluffy.
Right?
But
The
well done.
three-headed, yeah.
But well done. And that CG stood up. Like that was like big dog drooling on her. I'm like, yeah, I'm still scared of this thing. Like, okay.
Yep. I think the person that disappointed me the most, because I don't know if this was going to be a question you were going to ask, but the person that disappointed me the most was Hagrid.
I was about to say he was one of my favorites.
So, sorry, I forgot to let you actually tell us who
that's
you
fine.
liked.
It was going to be Hagrid. Because he's scary when he needs to be scary, and he's motherly when he needs to be motherly.
Yeah, I guess like for me though, he didn't give me that visual of the
fair.
character because I'm thinking this like crazy big redhead, like ginger, Irishman. And like because that's kind of the tone that I got from the
like
book.
Highland Games log lifter.
Like super big guy, like
Fascinating.
flaming red, like not flaming necessarily, but like darker red. So not as light as Ron's or whatever. But like I imagine just this really big Highland warrior style guy, but he's soft and fluffy at the same time.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that with this guy.
That's fair.
Well, R.I.P. Robbie Coltrane.
Yeah. That's another one. We just slowly go through all of them.
No, listen, no.
Maggie Smith. Most recently.
Yeah.
Okay, who's your favorite?
Well, I say
Go back to your
Hagrid
favorite.
is one of my favorites because like in the hut, he's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
But he's nice enough to Harry that you go, like, again, rewatching and reading as a parent now, I'm like, why are you going with the strange man? But I'm like, no, okay. Like he's just enough that's like, I don't know. I don't get creepy guy in a channel van issues.
Trustworthy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
He's
and I can
trustworthy
see
and
that.
scary.
But in the book, they portray him as such a drunkard. Whereas in the movie, you don't see that.
Which I think bothers me in the books. Maybe I'm okay without it.
Right. Like, I do not like that aspect as far as like the 11-year-olds are reading this and they're literally constantly talking about Hagrid getting drunk all the time.
Making bad decisions.
Right. Like, maybe that's actually a good thing because then you know that you make really bad decisions when you get drunk or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, Cassie and I stayed up till 3 a.m. this morning and still woke up at 7:30.
That's what you do when you have friends in town. You make poor choices.
We drank an entire bottle of Jägermeister.
Nice.
And 6 cans of Red Bull last night.
Oh my
Not
God.
consider that a bad decision.
No, we had a great time, but it was a very late night. Yeah,
It doesn't happen enough.
that is true. That is true.
That's when you live so far away.
We're trying. We're
God's
trying.
country.
On the Hagrid topic and poor decisions, like I remember being horrified as a kid that he got expelled, and like,
Oh yeah.
and they don't
They don't say why.
talk about it in the book. But when McGonagall comes and gets Harry and he's like afraid he's going to get expelled, you can't do the internal monologue in a movie.
Yeah.
That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
But like I related to that so much. Like I was so stressed by that whole internal monologue and thinking about Hagrid and having gotten expelled and like he made poor choices. And so, yeah, now he just lives here and this is his whole life. And like that was this huge stress moment for me in the book. And it's so funny in the movie because it lasts like 5 seconds. If that. And you're like, and now he's on the team.
It does set that up front because as you read the rest, like ignoring the fact that Hagrid got expelled, if you didn't lay that up front, then it seems like such a vague threat that just never happens. There's so many reasons they should have gotten expelled or gotten detention sooner. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, hang them by their thumbs in the dungeon. I don't care. But when you set it up front, that the first wizard Harry meets post, losing mom and dad, I guess, is Hagrid, and he's been expelled, and so he has that in his head. The rest of the time, this can happen.
They mean it.
Like, okay,
You might have to go back to the Dursleys forever.
or those ugly gray clothes that make you look like an elephant.
Bits of old elephant skin.
Right, exactly.
Good reference.
Yeah. But I think like the portraying of the characters, the set and everything like that, it went well. I feel like there were things that were like fast forwarded or whatever, or things that were just slowed down that I was like, why couldn't this have just been like pushed faster?
So I was telling everyone sitting here, I was like, I'm going to dribble in some of my oldest commentary along the way.
Oh yeah, thing one.
And oh my gosh, my favorite comment of hers was when they get to the zoo and she's like, wait, we're already at the zoo?
Yep.
I was cracking up and that it also threw me off then when we were rereading the books, that I was like, oh my gosh, the trapdoor is one chapter.
Yeah.
Like everything that happens, and more happens in the book than the movie, and it's one chapter, whereas getting to the zoo is like 4 chapters.
Yep.
And so it's like, it's so disproportional in the book, and I like the flow of the movie a lot better. Like, I warned you when we started the book. There's a reason we did 3 chapters first, because I was like, they're slow.
Yeah.
They're not super fun. Like, they're just slow. And then you hit the last 3 chapters of the book and you're in a dead sprint.
Right.
It's like, okay, pacing, not great.
I forgot about that. So I
too.
I binged the book last week.
Binged the book.
I don't have a better term for it. And I forgot about that entirely until I had a flight and I read the first half of the book on the flight.
And you haven't gotten anywhere.
You haven't gotten anywhere. And I was like, oh, wow, like I've got a while. And then I looked at the book and was like, wait, I'm halfway through it already?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just getting to Hogwarts.
Right. Yeah, you're like, I don't remember where I stopped, but I do remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm already halfway through.
And
but
saying you were
nothing has
surprised
happened.
when we hit halfway. Or I shouldn't say you. There's 4 of us in the room. Things I'm still getting used to with the podcast. But yeah, with Christina and I, we looked and we're like, oh my gosh, we're already halfway. And Christina's like, please tell me this speeds up a little bit. I promise it does.
It was one of those, like, it's building the world.
Yes.
And I think
So
that's
much
the
world building.
best way of describing the first half of the first book, is that it's describing the entire world that they are going to live in for the next 7 or 6 books and a half. And so you get all of those like things that you wouldn't necessarily think about or whatever. Why are you shaking your head like I don't know about that?
Don't worry about it.
But yeah, I just feel like, I don't know, they were just like going into the leaky cauldron and meeting everybody and things like that. Like you get that camaraderie, you get that.
The feeling.
Yep, exactly. And like Cassie said, like she really liked the character set and the sets and the descriptions of like how everything looks, and then the movie portrays that so well. And so it's those kinds of things.
Well, and there's
that
stuff like Diagon Alley that takes an entire chapter to explain all of the shops and the stuff out front and the stuff in the windows and
The wand shop.
and the wand shop and all of the pieces.
Yes.
Whereas in the movie, you just kind of bust into the alley and it's just this like bustling. I'm just going to say
crazy.
Universal did a fantastic job with that. That it's tight, but it doesn't feel tight. But there's so much color and stuff everywhere, and you can just see it. You don't have to take a day of me reading a
chapter
two chapters to understand it.
Well, what frustrated me about that though is that we don't meet Draco Malfoy.
Don't meet Malfoy.
And I don't like that, because there was a whole point of him meeting him in the robe shop and going, oh, like the person I'm with, like being Hagrid, might actually not be such a great guy or whatever, because Malfoy like leads to that.
Puts
He
that doubt in
also
his head.
talks about the people going evil and then coming back, and like all of these things that I feel that you lose because you no longer have that step in the movie, and you go straight to the wand shop. Like after Gringotts, you go to the wand shop, and I'm like, there's just so many pieces that just miss there.
Yep.
And you don't necessarily get that full background at that point.
Especially with Slytherin house. So I get it. They're 11-year-old kids, and the one nice person you've met is like, oh my gosh, there's not a witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin. And you're like, okay, I don't want to be in Slytherin. So like, I get that. And at 11 years old, that would totally work for, the 30 seconds it takes you to get sorted, right? But in the book, they do a much better job of giving Harry like a real reason to actually be worried about Slytherin and to be really concerned about the Hat wanting to put him in Slytherin.
They kind of skip by.
They skip a lot, and it gives Harry a lot more depth to be like, okay, it's okay that he's afraid of that. Like he's been given all of these reasons to be afraid of that. Whereas in the movie, they're just like, it's bad, don't do it. And he's like, okay, I also didn't like that guy, so I don't want to be in Slytherin.
Right, yeah. And Slytherin, like I'm finding, isn't necessarily such a bad group, but it's not a great group either. And I only know that because I read the book. And I don't think you would have noticed that, like, that characteristic of being a Slytherin or Hufflepuff or a Ravenclaw or anything like that.
So that's something else that I will say frustrates me about the movie is they have every freaking class with the Slytherins. And I'm like, where are the Hufflepuffs and the Ravenclaws in the movie? Come on, guys. Like, so that gets very frustrating. I'm like, we're just with the Slytherins all the time, which is not how it is in the book. And then the only glimpse of like, I guess Slytherin redemption you get is like, oh, shock surprise, Snape wasn't the bad guy?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. But they don't explain that.
No.
They don't explain that Dumbledore is like, oh, like there was a problem between, like you don't get all that wisdom at the end for Harry.
Why does Snape hate me? I'm like, well, because your father and he kind of hated each other.
That whole hospital visit is so not the right way to have done it in the movie, because you lose all of Dumbledore's like just his wisdom and his like everything that goes kind of with it, and it just disappears.
So I'm trying to remember if this was said in the book. Does anybody know what house Quirrell was in?
I do not.
I don't think it was in the book, but I would guess Ravenclaw.
That's what I was going to say, Ravenclaw.
You are correct.
But I don't know that it ever said it fully in the book.
I'm trying to remember, but
But not only that, but he dies so weirdly in the movie.
yeah.
It's kind of weird in the
And
movie.
I don't like the fact that Harry's the one that's responsible for killing him.
As opposed to just defending himself.
Yes, and with the book, it says that like Voldemort is the one that is the one that kills him or leaves him to die, is what Dumbledore says.
Right.
And yet in the movie, you're portraying some 11-year-old as like literally making him ash. Why?
I mean,
Yeah.
like, he's definitely trying to kill you, so definitely fight back. But also in the book, he definitely is just trying to prevent himself from being killed.
Yeah.
And in the movie, it's not shown that way.
And I noticed too that you don't see the scar as much in the movie. Like it doesn't glow as much. It doesn't do the things that it says in the book too.
Trying to remember if
It's supposed to, like, it throbs, but
Right, it throbs. He keeps putting his fingers up next to it or whatever, but you don't see that green because
what
they
he's
describe
seeing in
it.
his head. It's not. It's Harry's headcanon that sees the green.
But
And
it's
they
also
don't show it.
oh,
Yeah, it's just in his head. He keeps seeing the flash of green.
Okay,
he's remembering.
I thought when he was fighting with Quirrell, it like literally like basically is glowing green or whatever.
No, he just keeps seeing the flashes of green.
Okay, and that's what knocks him out.
But yeah, Quirrell was a raven.
The pain in his head, yeah.
Yeah, takes him down.
Yeah, interesting. But I definitely like just kind of the full roundedness of. They got the majority of everything that they needed to in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite parts was the eggs, the letters with the eggs in it. I really liked that. Like,
Which if there's anyone listening who doesn't know what Christina's talking about, that is in the extended cut. That is not in the quote unquote
theatrical version.
There you go. Thank you. The theatrical version. It's not in there. That's an extended cut, as well as when Vernon is leaving for work and she's saying goodbye to him and there's 1,000 owls outside.
Okay.
That's also, so like they added to that, which I liked the extended version of this one a lot more.
Do you know that in the movie they hung a dead mouse?
Yes.
Did you know that?
I did.
They hung a dead mouse on Petunia's apron to get the owls to come in closer.
Yeah. I did not know that.
Yes.
Oh, gross.
I think the facts are amazing.
You're allowed to read them all now.
Okay, cool. I will definitely do that.
I mean, we'll have to watch the director's
the commentary
sometime.
Yeah. I mean, that would be interesting to kind of know all of those things.
The nuances.
Yeah, because like you go into the Forbidden Forest and stuff like that and you've got that unicorn, like they had to have a horse that was laying down
or they made it out of
it might be
they could have made it out of
styrofoam or something,
whatever, because it doesn't have to move. It doesn't have to actually be a horse.
Okay.
Put
that makes
fur
sense.
on styrofoam.
Yeah, but you see
a
that
weird sentence.
You see that guy walking in the forest or whatever, and I was like, oh, we're gonna meet the centaurs.
Yeah, you said that. And you're like, oh, the centaurs. I was like,
but we didn't actually meet him until like the one saves Harry.
Which honestly, the centaurs in the book drive me ballistic, and I'm totally okay with cutting them out.
But what I was gonna say,
I can't stand them.
What I was gonna say was that a mistake of that person moving? Because what if that was like a side hand, for the.
Remember when they first go into the forest and Harry and Hermione are with Hagrid in the book.
Yep.
And they hear a slithering that Harry describes as sounding like
a cloak,
or maybe the
swooshing across the ground.
Person describes as a cloak. I always assumed that movement in the back was that sound. They just didn't react to it.
Okay.
Harry did. Harry looks over and is like,
and see,
they didn't
seeing
react
things?
the same, I guess.
and see, I took it as being the centaur, and then when we didn't actually meet the centaur, I was like, oh, maybe he was just like a prop hand or whatever that was moving something, and they forgot, like they didn't notice that he was moving, and that he shouldn't have been in that frame, because you see that all the time, like boom stands sometimes, or like people that shouldn't be there or whatever, or like the Wizard of Oz, when they originally made the Wizard of Oz, and that guy is hanging from the tree. You don't know that?
I don't know that one.
You won't be able to find it anymore.
you can't find it
I'm sure
anymore.
it's been completely cut out of every movie
Yeah, somebody took their lives in the background.
of the Wizard
Oh
of
my
Oz
God.
movie. Yeah.
They didn't notice it.
And so like I just
Brittany's
kind
brain
of,
is blown.
Oh my gosh. That's
but I
horrible.
just like imagine those kinds of things when you just see something like random,
like that.
like quickly moving. And
It was
then-
supposed to be Coral going through. walking
that
through.
makes a lot more sense.
Always thought it was.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was super excited to see a centaur in
They're
a
so
movie
cool.
form. Yeah. I thought they were cool looking.
big.
Yeah, he is.
He's way bigger.
And really buff.
I think a lot of that was CGI.
I mean, it wasn't in the one movie recently that I have seen that Brittany and her husband has not seen, and I'm not allowed to really talk about, because then it would kill. It's a Deadpool movie, like and he's super,
don't even.
super
Yeah.
buff.
Like-
I know, I didn't. I
can't
just said
spoil
he's
it.
super buff. That's all. But yeah, like that was not fake.
No, that wasn't.
Or Magic Mike guys, like they aren't fake in those movies either. But anyways,
Always love hearing about the actors that have to go on the crazy, like all the Marvel characters have to go on these crazy
like
weightlifting and things like that. Or I have not seen it, but I know that there's a new, I honestly don't even know if it's a movie or a series, but there's a new Baywatch that came out.
Oh.
And like it died really quickly because all of the actors after like a season or whatever, I don't know if it was a show or a movie, but after like the first one, they're like, we all hate living like this. We're done.
Oh, wow.
Like they just all quit because they're like,
good job,
Are you
guys.
talking about the California, the surf one in California?
No, it was actually a Baywatch like reboot.
Actual
Okay.
Baywatch, because there's the Hawaii.
Yeah.
Oh, is it
Wi-Fi
Hawaii?
No, the Hawaii.
So the
NCIS?
lifeguards.
Oh.
show.
Yeah, it's the, but I can't think of what it's called.
We all
never seen
joked and said it's a Baywatch reboot, but it was a joke. It's some Hawaii lifeguard show that's out.
But they had to actually train with the real life people because it's so dangerous that they had to sign paperwork saying that their families would never sue the
happened to
companies and stuff like that because of the fact that
actually
it's
dangerous?
so dangerous to do that job, and they had to train to do the job because of the way that they wanted it to be so reality
Authentic.
Yep. And the character, the cast, and the actresses and actors actually have to go into the water.
Yeah.
And in order for them to do that, they were like, you have to
Complete this
sign.
training
Yep.
and
You have to complete
sign
the
these
training,
forms.
sign all these forms, and
Sign
just
your life away.
basically,
Great.
basically.
No thanks.
But
Although I
yeah.
did just have to sign a form. We picked up a new set of ski boots for my oldest, a new set of skis for my youngest, and from a secondhand sports store
Right.
local to us. And they make you sign a form, an initial that basically says if you do something stupid on the skis and get hurt, you can't sue the store for them.
Oh, good.
And I was like, that is fascinating.
Well,
like,
you know-
why would it be the store's fault? Who would do this? I'm like, no.
The
no,
only
I get
reason
it.
they have those forms is because of
Somebody's
lawyers
done
and
it.
somebody's tried
Somebody's
to
done
do
it.
Tried it.
Yep.
And I'm like, I
So-
promise if my kid creams into a tree, like
It's
that's
not your fault.
Like, that's her fault, and she'll pop back up. She's fine.
Yep, exactly.
That's why we wear helmets.
Right. Yep.
She got an upgrade this year to better helmet.
Very good.
Ooh. But yeah, we got sidetracked on that one.
Tangentially related.
Kind of, yeah.
Somehow.
But what did you guys think of Green Gots? Did you think it portrayed the book, because like
No.
in the book it talks about the roller coaster and him wanting to like throw up, and then Hagrid teaching Harry about stalactites and
Stalagmites. What has an M? Stop talking to me.
I shouldn't talk.
because he wanted
That's
to
my
barf or
favorite joke.
whatever. But like I feel like the goblins, while they're semi scary, I don't think they're like as
I didn't like the way they talked about the goblins. So I was okay with the shortening in Gringotts because yes, the roller coaster ride was cool. I feel like they could have done some kind of a cutscene that would have at least imparted to you that they did do the same thing. But I didn't like how they walked in and Harry's like, what are these things? And,
Yeah.
you know, Hagrid calls them, you know, they're goblins, not the friendliest of beasts. And so he actually talks about them like they're not people. And that's actually one of the big, like, I had a problem with it.
Yeah.
Because in the book, he doesn't. You know, they're not the friendliest of creatures. You know, you do not mess with the goblins.
Right.
You got that poem up front that's like, F around and find out, basically.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
It was a great poem.
And in the book, he kind of tells him about the goblins. Is it on the hut? He tells him about them. It's pretty early.
I think it's sitting on the train.
It's sitting on the train.
Going into London, I think.
That makes sense. When he tells him like, oh, no, your parents have money for you. It's fine. But yeah, it just bugs me that in the movie, he calls them beasts. Like they're not people. And I was like, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
That didn't
I didn't
age
like
well.
that. Yeah.
We did skip past the whole Hagrid and Harry take the boat and maroon the Dursleys
Yes,
on the
we did.
island.
Yep.
We skip that. We blow by that.
I just always assumed that Hagrid sent the boat back.
Yeah, same.
I mean, that's what
Same.
she said. I say they had to get owls or something to fly them.
They all had to
around.
swim.
Or they had to swim. Or
Dudley's little tail pushed them along.
Exactly. Dudley's tail had to spin in order to like pretend to be a
propeller.
boat or something. I don't know. But like we also miss like the rifle, like the journey of the day too.
Yeah, you missed that.
All of that kind of stuff, which doesn't surprise me because of the whole gun thing, like the rifle.
A lot.
But like you there's like certain things that I was just like, well, wait, what happened? Like in between.
Yeah.
And all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, I don't know.
The first part, I'm very okay with them speeding by that in the movie.
Okay, I still don't understand how Petunia knows how Lily and James died. I still didn't, but they don't actually explicitly say in the book that they ever read the letter.
in the first book.
You don't, but I mean, like, I would assume that, when Dumbledore left the letter that he told
I was
them what
assuming
happened.
they threw it in a fire, just like they did all the other letters that came back with, or when they're trying to get Harry into Hogwarts, and all those letters kind of
They just didn't read it.
Convene. Yeah, I just thought maybe they just burnt it, and so you don't ever really know
Not yet.
about all that. But it's still weird that like, as much hatred as she has for her sister, like I'm surprised. So
Jealousy.
what well, I get that, but like, why not torture your nephew? Like
take it
the
out on them.
way that they torture him throughout all of the book and the movie and everything like that, leaving him in that cupboard, making him like make their dinner, never feeding him, all those things. Why not like? And maybe this is the evil side of me, because I would never want
throw
this
him in
to
an orphanage or
happen to
something?
me, or like I would never try to do this. But like, as much hatred as Petunia has towards Lily and her son and James, like, and Harry and everything, it's just like, why didn't she kind of be like, oh, I know the secret of what happened to your parents, like, and hold it kind of over his head and
Interesting.
and like kind of torture him with that kind of knowledge.
with the I know more than you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
And they never explicitly say that she knows anything about it. And so it surprised me, as horrible as she is and her husband are.
I was kind of
Or her
assumed it's
son.
because they didn't want Dudley to know that world even existed. Like they wanted to hide that from Dudley entirely,
sure.
so she wouldn't be able to.
She has to give an explanation to Dudley too.
She would have to give an explanation if she like held any of that information over Harry's head. She would have to give some of that information to Dudley.
Because you know they don't
She
keep
just wants to
anything from him.
pretend
That's a
that
good
like
point.
Harry doesn't even exist. Dudley doesn't have to know anything about this world at all until it comes crashing down.
And do you really think, Cassie,
Until it
that
comes crashing through the door.
right? Do you really think that Petunia is jealous of Lily and wanted to be magical? Is that why
I
she's
think so. Yeah, absolutely.
She specifically was
that's
like-
my take.
okay? Yeah. I guess I
with
can
ya.
see that. It makes sense to be jealous of
The first
her
thing,
finding love, and
the first thing she says is
was
my
happy.
perfect sister, which really comes across as, to me anyway.
being jealous. Oh, there's green jealousy.
Hey!
I mean, yeah, comes across. I mean, come on.
I don't know. I loved getting the text messages from Christina as she's reading the book, especially towards the end when
Where
she
you had to-
discovers certain things and she texts me in all capital letters like
It was
trying to help Harry. Or it was Squirrel.
right.
I'm just like, hallelujah.
Or the fact that she would make me stop on like cliffhangers during the chapters. I would be like,
You are
texting
not
Cassie, I'm
allowed to read the next
like, you
sentence.
have no idea how many years I have spent trying to get Christina to watch these movies with me. Like it was like
It's
a
just never
process.
been
it was a thing for
We
me.
it took multiple of us to peer pressure her
Oh
into
my
it.
goodness. Like I was threatening to kidnap her and like tie her down in front of the TV.
Yeah,
and
Hold her
be
eyes
like,
open.
Watch this.
You actually did do tell me that you were going to do that at one
I
point.
did, absolutely.
And I know at some point Water's going to want to know, because she even asked today, she goes, well, why can't I watch the movie? And everybody's like, because you haven't read the book. and thing one goes, well, I have. Why can't I watch it? Because you need to go and play with Water and your brother and
Shoot, get out of here.
Exactly. But yeah,
We needed more quiet because we're at Brittany's house today. She has a nice little theater in the basement, so she was nice enough to have us all over to do this in her house. So now we have little 1-year-old footsteps upstairs. But if they were all here, like,
I mean, we would
hear it.
mass chaos.
Well, and we did talk quite a bit during the movies. I mean, I took in the dark a page and a half of notes.
Christina,
So
you talk a lot through every movie.
yeah, I know.
That's why, but I mean,
So long as you've read the books.
I know this one by heart, so like that's okay. We can talk it out.
I mean,
Yeah.
my daughter watched all the movies and then read the books.
Oh, really?
She
Okay.
did it backwards, and
Not a bad way to go.
I
There are
think
some series where that definitely I have found that was the better way to do it, because I enjoyed the movie. It was a fun thing, and then I'd get into the book and be like, "Whoa, there's so much more depth. This is so much more fun."
And you
Absolutely.
mentioned that with Martian being one of those.
Yes.
The movie is definitely the first thing you read or you watch, and then you read the book.
Yeah, so
the
there's
movie is fabulous.
the movie
really is.
books like Harry Potter. I'm like, you can go either way. There'll be parts, especially later on in the movies, and you're gonna be like, what just happened? There was no explanation there. You just did something, and then you read the book and you go, oh, that's why that happened. Okay,
Right.
so it's like you get the full story by doing both. But The Martian is the one that I actively recommend people watch the movie before reading the book.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because visualizing it is
And it's beautiful. It's a beautifully done movie.
Yeah.
a great movie.
Oof.
But overall,
It was good.
we survived the first book and the
Yep,
first movie.
we did. Woo woo.
Did you have fun?
I did. I mean, I have been putting this movie book series off for a very long time, like
Did it
Cassie
come
said.
out? The movie came out 23 years ago.
I mean, come on.
But it was one of those ones where I wasn't allowed as a kid. So then it just never became a thing for me. And I'm not one to really do the cult following style books or movies or anything like Friends or whatever. Like I only just recently finished Big Bang Theory.
I still haven't finished it.
And yet your friend here is like nonstop throwing out references, and you're like, what?
Yeah,
What's
exactly.
that? I don't get it.
Everybody is always like,
I haven't
Christina,
seen it.
what
I
movie?
haven't finished it.
No. Okay. Big Bang is good.
I know.
It's good.
It's
And I'm surprised the two scientists in the room.
stand it.
It's
I cannot
too close.
stand it.
Yeah.
It's too
love
real.
it.
It's too real.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
But I just think there's certain like things as a kid. Yeah, maybe I would have read it or whatever, but I also struggled with reading. I did not have a passion for it as a child. So I didn't get that passion until I was older. And yet every time anybody asks me, oh, have you read this or have you watched this or whatever? And I'm like, I typically say no. And I mean, Cassie and I were shopping yesterday and 5 women were like, you've never seen the movie Elf? And I was like,
That's because I was making it very known. I'm like, come on.
yep, I've never seen it. And everybody just like would stare at me and be like, seriously?
I'm more shocked that people are shocked at that.
I'd say I'll do the unpopular opinion. I've seen it once and I didn't like it.
I wasn't.
I don't know, like-
I was like, okay, that was another one of those holiday movies.
Another
Moving
Will
on.
Ferrell movie.
And maybe that's what it is. Like, I've never seen most of Adam Sandler's movies, like specifically his older ones, like the ones from like when he was first starting out
kind of stuff.
Even
like,
older than that.
Even older than that,
okay.
like Big Daddy
Billy
or
Madison.
Yeah, those like I'd only just seen Billy Madison recently with.
I've never seen that, but
with
I get
Cassie's
most of
daughter.
I get most of the references.
But
I've never
like,
seen it.
I didn't like him as a like as a person at that time. There's certain songs by Brad Paisley that I did not like when he was younger, whereas now I like his music. Though,
Things
like,
change.
and I think it's kind of like that when it comes to books and movies and things like that. I really love Emma Watson in Little Women.
Yeah,
So-
now you see little 11-year-old. Actually, she's probably 10 filming this.
I know, and now like in that movie, she's an adult, and it has a special moment for me in my life as far as why I went and saw that movie, and I really liked it. But like seeing her in these movies is like, oh,
She's a
like
little-
okay, this is a different person, or whatever, and so it's just one of those. Okay, like. Let's go.
right,
Let's figure it out. Let's see what we think. And maybe as the books go on, I'll like them better. Right now,
Yes.
like, I
The
just kind of
movies
feel.
only get better,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
there's
it comes and
one.
goes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
It comes and goes.
There's
comes
one
and
I always
goes.
skip, so.
Yeah. It just.
We'll talk afterwards. I'm curious if it's the same one.
So yeah. Okay. They're making
Or using
numbers
sign language.
inside over here. This is why there's such a big pause. But like, it
Awkward
just.
silence.
Awkward silence. Which
Right.
movie? Which Harry Potter movie is the one
Right.
you skip in every rewatch?
Right. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I guess I just kind of I'm excited to keep doing the books, to see and watching the movies, to see what I think of them.
See how it builds.
Yeah. I just think as an adult, the first book is just a little too young at that
young.
point.
It's very young.
Yeah.
The thing I have to remind myself when I'm reading it is that it was designed for
Tweens.
11-year-olds.
Right.
Like, she wrote it for an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're old now.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting to movie 4.
Me too.
I love that movie.
Me too.
It's been hard for Cassie because like she knows all of the books and the movies and everything, and her remembering like no spoilers.
Don't spoil it.
She's always
been
catching
so
herself.
hard.
She's
Don't
always
worry.
catching herself.
I'm going to
so.
push it through them as fast as I can.
Oh my gosh.
We're starting the second book next week. We're
Yep.
blowing through the 3 chapters.
Yeah, well, so we're literally recording this on a weekend right now. And in 2 days, we're going to record the first set of chapters in the second book. And then we're going to start doing 2s a week.
Because we're getting up to the holidays.
Yep.
So when
get
this
through the
comes
holidays.
out, everyone will have already survived the holidays.
No, this comes out right before Christmas.
Okay.
So
Well, you
this
will
is the
survive
last
Thanksgiving.
one before Christmas. I believe it'll come out on that Monday, the 23rd, because that's my
sounds right.
anniversary.
Hey.
And Cassie and I's families will be jetting off to warm Puerto Rico, thank goodness. But this comes out that Monday, and then we're taking some time off for Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, we're going to take some recording time off to give ourselves a break through Christmas. So that's why we're going to double down. But don't worry, I'm going to get her to the 4th book as fast as I can. It's one of my
best
favorites.
movie.
It's one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
Yeah,
It's not
so
my favorite. favorite movie.
I'm excited.
I think there's reasons I love that movie, and I
Don't talk. I will.
We'll get there.
I
We'll
can't
get
plug
there.
my ears.
I can't get
not
my
saying the
ears.
thing. It's not even like, it's just who's in the movie.
Oh, okay. Okay. So characters and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, now
You
we
guys can
definitely have to
chat
do it.
later.
Yeah, now we have to do this again for 4.
But
Yeah.
we did it! And the first movie's not bad.
Yes.
Yay.
It's not. They did a good job.
Yeah.
World building and good
Visualization and casting.
casting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we have to go get the Lego set.
It's so big.
I know Cassie's dying
I've
for
been
it.
begging for it for years.
Maybe I'll
Someday.
suggest it to your husband as a Christmas gift for and an anniversary and a birthday
Yeah, no,
gift.
because
together.
he would say, where would she put this?
Oh, I'll make you a shelf. It's all good.
Where would I put this
In
thing?
your office on that wall.
That's also your bedroom.
She's okay with that.
She's like, exactly. Let's do this.
My husband is fully aware that when the kids are old enough that I can trust them not to break anything,
Super
I
glue.
will have a Hogwarts Express going around my Christmas tree.
Okay.
The nice one.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say the Lego set, and I was like,
Nope.
just super glue it.
Nope. I want a real like steel Hogwarts Express going around under my Christmas tree
Yeah, that would be cool.
someday.
Does it have the owls on it too? No, what?
I don't know.
Ooh, that would be good.
I'll put
Have
ornaments
it
around the
daddy.
base of the tree of the owls hanging all over.
There you go.
I've got the Grinch train.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I want the Polar Express.
That's the other one.
See,
I'd be okay with. I would settle for that too.
I was not a fan.
I've never seen it.
I was not a fan of that
So-
movie or the
movie
book.
The book is a book of my childhood.
Me too.
That is very much a.
Not me.
We read it
Nope, me
Christmas Eve every single year.
Well, I am the older one here, so.
Yeah, you are old. But like, I've never seen it, and I've never it was never a childhood thing for me either.
Yeah,
but we did Night Before Christmas, that kind of stuff.
Yes,
and
that's what my husband's family did.
Yep, and Water still has a really nice covered book for that stays in our Christmas box because I can't trust her to not rip it up or whatever.
Oh,
love
all of
that
our
movie.
Christmas books stay in the box too. Yeah, that was my husband's family tradition since he grew up as an army brat, so they moved all over.
Yep.
Is every year when they read it, somebody different in the family, since the kids got old enough to read it, somebody different read it every year, and they wrote down who read it and where they were living.
Oh, cool.
So you go
love
back
that.
through their book and you have multiple states and 2 countries on there.
That's cool.
And so when Tim and I got married, our first Christmas, my mother-in-law gifted us a copy of the book. And so now we've done it every year that we write down who read it, where we
cool.
lived. And it's a fun
That's
little
sweet.
thing.
And now forever it's going to be Colorado.
Now it's Colorado. But we do put, so our very, very first Christmas, we were on our honeymoon.
Oh.
I mean, we did not get married around Christmas.
Yeah.
We had to wait for my husband to graduate from college and save up a little bit.
Baby.
My own babies. Aw, almost 14 years. And so like we wrote that we didn't write where we lived.
Right.
We didn't write Maryland. We wrote
Where
like
you were.
British Virgin Islands, whatever one we were on.
Yeah.
I don't
Nice.
even remember for Christmas Eve.
That's cool.
So it's like we can still come up with fun places. So maybe some year we'll have like Breckenridge, Estes Park, Vail, like I don't know,
Colorado.
all around Colorado.
Yeah, for sure.
But cool. Well, thank you so much,
Yes.
Brittany and Cassie, for joining us.
Yes,
Thank you for having
We'll have to have you all back.
For sure. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah.
And
We have other friends we also want to pull
Include,
in
yep.
and
Rotate them.
for either
Yep.
books or movies or whatever. 'Cause
Yep.
it's fun to get outside opinions and
Yep.
not just listen to the two of us ramble on.
I mean,
Bring in the variety.
I talk a lot, so whatever. I mean, I'm down to ramble. But yeah, we've got some other friends in other states that are excited and a couple friends here. So yeah, I'm excited for this. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for joining us and Merry Christmas because that's what's coming
when this
out.
is coming out.
coming out. So
Woohoo!
thank you. Thanks for joining us for this episode. If you had fun, please follow, download, and review this podcast on your preferred listening platform.
If you're ready for the next chapter, join the spoiler-free conversation on our Facebook group. Search You Haven't Read What? The podcast.
Or on Instagram and YouTube for exclusive videos and behind-the-scenes content. Have a great week.
And we'll catch you on the next page.